Well, here in the UAE, Jones the Grocer is an institution. They've been in operation for 15 years and they do continue to grow. They opened their second branch in Riyadh last week. They've got more coming up very soon in Abu Dhabi, in Singapore, and also Heathrow Airport in May. And to talk about their new menu and maybe discuss the challenges in how to remain relevant and also understand the changing consumer needs in Dubai, we are joined by the CEO of Jones the Grocer, Yunib Siddiqui. Thank you very much for coming on TSB.
You're welcome.
Great to have you here.
Glad to be here. Yeah, same here.
Jones the Grocer, you've been the CEO 14 years ago. Could you have ever envisaged that it would turn out the way it is now, where you're going to be soon across 4 and 5 countries?
Hard to say. I mean, we always had
That's
a plan.
a yes. You always had a big vision.
No, we always had a big vision. We always had a plan to roll out lots of stores. Initially, it was very Middle East centric. It's now become global in a sense. We're in Asia and we're opening in Europe as well. So we've gone a little bit beyond our sort of original vision. But there was always a plan to dream big.
When it comes down to the food and beverage sector, particularly in the UAE, how hard is it to stay relevant? Because it's a city that loves the new look, the new design, the new fad, the new. How do you try and stay relevant and keep in people's mind and keep in people's consciousness when they're making a decision on somewhere to eat?
Short answer is very difficult. We've got to constantly be in development. We're constantly looking at new ideas, while still trying to remain core to the vision of the brand. Because the other thing is that you start developing stuff and you end up becoming a bit like everybody else, like going to all the fine dining restaurants, seeing ceviche on every menu. I mean, I don't know how many restaurants I've been to, and it's always the same stuff. It's like every chef only knows how to make ceviche or something like that. So it's very difficult, but I think if one has a very clear brand concept, and ours is very much an Aussie Melbourne melting pot style of food, we can always see through the trees, see through the woods, and sort of see, okay, this particular trend or this particular direction fits into what we really want to do, and that then drives the development direction. And it's almost a 6-month cycle, so we're actually looking 6 to 9 months ahead.
And do you look at the cycle of the location you're in Dubai? Because you can look at an area like, for example, JBR, which 5 or 6 years ago had a lot of expats living there full time.
Yeah.
And now it's a lot of people holidaying on short-term leases. And therefore, your clientele changes dramatically. Is that a factor when it comes into the specific relationship or way you market or the food that you may have for certain outlets?
It's a really good question. I agree with you on JBR. JBR is I think become predominantly a tourist destination. It's very hard to do that. If you're a single store operator, it's quite easy sometimes to just change the menu and cater to what's going on in the area. But short answer, no, it's not very easy to do that. We have to run with the concept we've got. We make some local changes in certain areas, but very few and very far between.
How the coffee culture in the UAE has changed dramatically from 14 years ago. And I know it's not one of your main, you're into food as well, but you are known for your coffee. Have you noticed a discernible difference in people's demands and their requirements for coffee and the quality of the coffee over the last 14 years?
Good question. I mean, one of the things we've sort of done is we've tweaked our roast based on some feedback from customers. So our roast has become a little bit sweeter. Obviously, it's 100% Arabica, so it's quite a different roast to some of the other people out there. But in terms of customer knowledge and customer demands, like double ristretto, people come in asking for double macchiato with oat milk, like all kinds of things that
fat-free oat
never,
milk.
in fact, nothing, things that have changed so dramatically to when we first opened 14 years ago, where people were just coming in asking for a single espresso. It's a different coffee experience out there for people, and they're demanding that experience from us as well.
I think it's so hard, particularly for wait staff in food and beverage. You've got people that are coming from all over the world, and they've grown up with a different food or coffee culture from the country upon which they've come. How hard is it to train? Is that one of the key elements where you need to instruct people so that they have a substantial reservoir and knowledge of food and of coffees and everything on your cuisine?
Very hard. We recently hired a learning and development director. We've always had a learning function in the business anyway. In fact, we hired someone from Australia to brought that person in to try and inculcate the team with the knowledge, food knowledge, and all the things that we want our team to be with. And the bigger challenge is that people come from different nationalities. Many of them are not from areas where this kind of food is served as their daily bread, in a sense. And so we have to almost start from scratch. And you almost want to break the training down to basics, so you actually get the basics right first, and you build on that. Which if you're opening a store in maybe London or Paris or New York or wherever, the basics are already there. Everybody knows, what
everyone knows what a flat white and a latte and all those things are.
Exactly.
When you're looking at the new menu, so you've got a new menu coming out for Jones the Grocer. I have to admit, I didn't know what the Goldilocks porridge bowl was.
It's fantastic. You should try it.
And this is an institution, I believe.
Yes.
So describe it for me.
So funnily enough, we dropped it on the last menu and we had so many complaints, so we brought it back. It's essentially a very homemade porridge made from rolled oats with some poached fruit. Very simple. And berries. And
the name is so good.
Yeah, it's good.
The Goldilocks porridge bowl. Some of the other ones that you've got in there: crispy calamari, coconut shrimp, halloumi fries. You've got the pasta. You've got Italian-inspired chicken parmigiana. I'm intrigued about this because it's probably the most common dish served in Australian pubs, the chicken parma, as we call it.
Yes.
But you've had to label it Italian-inspired. Is it like an Aussie-inspired chicken parma?
It is an Aussie-inspired. So it's actually very similar. When you go into the store, you see the way it's presented. It is very much an Aussie style.
When I left school at 18, my first job was in the meat industry because my grandfather had been
in the
meat industry.
Okay, yeah.
Because my grandfather had been a butcher back when that was the 20th century trade, and then he moved into supplying and kitchens. And he was always adamant that don't go into the food industry. This is around 2000. Don't go into the food industry. It's going down to supermarkets. And one thing he didn't quite understand was reality TV shows like MasterChef and YouTube have come in, and now people are going out for dinner and they're asking where the cheese has come from and how long has the meat been aged for. Is that something that gets harder because people's knowledge of food is so good? They don't just want cheese anymore. Is it Danish feta? Is it Greek feta? Is it crumbly? Is it goat's cheese? Does that make it better for you because you've got customers that are sharing in your passion for food, so there's a greater knowledge and understanding of the meals that you serve?
Yes and no. I mean, the population mix in Dubai is always changing. I mean, right now there's a lot of influx from, as you know, from Eastern Europe, from India, different parts of the world. So it's a big change. I would argue that it's constantly changing. It's very hard to say that the audience that we're getting is consistent and knowledgeable and demanding provenance, because if you look at different sites, perhaps yes, but most of the sites where you've got the sort of typical Dubai population mix, it's not always the case that the consumer is so knowledgeable about these things.
When you're going into a new country, you said you've got Singapore and the UK soon. How much market research are you doing based upon both the city and the area upon that city upon which you're going to launch?
I mean, a lot. I mean, we spent almost, I would say in total, man hours, probably 2 weeks of man hours, going through Singapore, looking at what's going on in the market. We visited nearly all the equivalent types of concepts that are like us or could be classed like us, and we've got all the menus, and we went through and analysed that, and then decided that our menu was still pretty relevant globally. Same in London when we going into Heathrow. We've kind of done similar level of homework, and our menu seems pretty relevant.
Well, the menu's one element, but how hard is it to find suppliers that can produce produce to your standard?
So we've done, in the UK, we have a very good partner, and they've got a established supply chain. So what we've done is that we've piggybacked on their supply chain, and we've localized pretty much all the ingredients we need from the local market, in England.
Well, I'm excited because you've got my favourite passion fruit cheesecake is back on the desserts.
Yes.
It's amazing. It's a common dessert. I come from Australia. Not a lot of people know what a passion fruit is. I didn't realise until I left Australia.
It's so lovely and tart and citrusy, and I love it. Yeah, it's a great for breakfast.
Yeah, I might have some on my Goldilocks porridge bowl.
Yeah.
Well, Yunib, congratulations on your success.
Thank you.
Good luck with the launch. As we said, it's Midfield Airport, Abu Dhabi. That's the one?
That's opening in 2.5 weeks, I think, 17th or 19th of December. 3 weeks, whatever. I've lost track of time.
Yeah.
And we've got Singapore opening probably towards the end of the year.
And then you've got to Heathrow Airport in May.
In
so
May.
if you're flying to London, you can get a slice of Dubai when you're at the airport.
And our second store in Bangalore at the airport opening as well.
What is it about airports that you find so attractive?
So travel space has been really good for us. We've been very successful. We opened our first travel site at Dubai Airport, 7 years ago. And it's just been a catalyst for us in terms of expansion and strategy. And we've been extremely successful. All our airport sites outperform.
Because I would have thought it would have been one of the most expensive places to rent.
It is expensive. You've got a high rent to revenue ratio, but you've got equivalent. You've got a very high traffic.
But it's the high traffic, high turnover.
Yeah.
So it works well. Yunib, thank you for coming in. Congratulations on his success. Jones the Grocer, it's an institution. Have you been there? And what is it that you like best about the menu? Let us know. 058686